Are you comfy?
So comfy.
Are you comfy? Ready to talk about
a tray of snacks.
Just some snacks?
You're a snack.
Just some quavers? The loudest thing ever to eat.
So what do you think about this? Well, I can't hear any second word you've been saying. It's Hellstorm Wargaming.
Yeah, there was a jingle. My name's Mike and I'm joined by the lovely Tom. Hi, Tom.
Thank you for having me back in your Codex Corner. It's lovely and warm on one of the hottest days of the year.
It's very warm.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very cozy.
Maybe we should have done a summer version.
Yeah, like on a beach somewhere. That'd be quite nice.
Donate now so we can do a beach version of Codex Corner. All right.
I don't like sand, Tom. It gets everywhere. It's coarse. Sorry about the small hiatus for Codex Corner. Obviously, we had some complications, but we're back. We're very thankful for Games Workshop sending us a digital version of the Thousand Sons Codex, which is on pre-order right now as this video goes live. And they've also sent us a digital version of the new Minotaur and Field manual points.
The two things together, they just intertwine perfectly.
Which I should say are subject to change between now and the release day in 2 weeks. So when they officially get updated in the app in 2 weeks, it might be slightly different, but as far as we know now, they're happy with the points.
Is that all the caveats out of the way?
I think so. We've done one of these before. We've banged our heads together, come up with a new format. So we're going to tell you about the interesting changes. We're going to give you our Rosebud Thorn, and then we both wrote you a list.
Yes.
So let's first talk about the main changes. Anime enjoyers, remember that one? That's an old reference for old Hellstorm heads. Okay. I can't believe you don't know that one. I was like, Elliot kept saying that Magnus is just an anime enjoyer. That's why he's only reading books. He's reading manga.
Oh, I think I do remember now, yeah.
It was a little bit difficult because when you were list writing, you had to think about the army rule completely due to the cabal of sorcerers, which is very cool.
Yeah, you had to bring 14 cabal points minimum to make the army do things.
Yeah. And then if you start to lose units, then
things became really, really hard to do. Or nigh on
if you brought 16 and lose like a few characters, you're down to 10, and it's like, okay, yeah, cool, I've got like 10 cabal points, I can use one ability and then I'm wasting them all.
Yeah.
That's gone.
Some would say they have ripped that up, thrown that in the bin, and gone back to what they know and trust works.
Say goodbye, cabal points. Say hello, the psychic phase.
What? Throwback? Return of the psychic phase, specifically just for Thousand Sons.
Yeah, so cabal sorcerers is a very similar rule in the way that you get buffs by doing things, but now your psychers manifest a psychic test.
Which also happens to take place right at the start of the shooting phase.
Just after the movement phase.
Yeah, just after the movement phase, where a psychic phase may have previously been in previous editions. Interesting.
So with this one, you roll 2d. Well, first of all, you choose one of your abilities, one of your rituals, which is going to be Destiny's Ruin. You choose a unit that is 24 inches and visible. You give reroll ones to hit. If you pass the test on a 10+, which I'll tell you how to do test in a second, you reroll hits. You got 10 Power or Surge. You can make a move of up to D6. If you cast it on a 10+, you can make a normal move of 6. And all of these are going to be 24 and visible if you roll higher. It's all very similar.
Got a Doom Ball, 24-inch range, D3 mortal wounds. If it procs on an 11+, it's D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. And you've got Twist of Fate, which is the highest charge. A charge 9. Select a visible enemy unit. All Thousand Sons attacks are +1 AP. If you get a 12+ on the dice, it's +2 AP.
Which is super spicy.
Yep.
Jet, how do you do a psychic test? You roll 2d6 and add them together. I'm not even kidding. So it's called psychic test sequence is roll 2d6. Then if you want to, you can channel the warp and roll an additional d6.
Yes. So you see what you get from your first dice roll and go, oh, I was after something a bit bigger and better. I'm going to risk it and roll the additional one.
You've done the test, either roll 2d6 or 3d6. You check if you rolled any doubles or triples. If you roll a double or triple, you take D3 more wounds. That's it. That's the only downside to casting doing a psychic test. I'm going to call it casting because it is just casting.
Yeah.
That's the only downside. If you roll a double or triple, you take even more wounds. There's no like double 1, there's no double 6 or anything like that. Your opponent can't interact with it. It's just they look at you and you have a psychic phase. That's it. Do you remember when they got rid of those because it wasn't very interactive?
Yeah.
And now
Some would say maybe Deny the Warp might be, Deny the Witch might somehow make a return in a book somewhere at some point. Who knows?
Yeah, they literally got rid of it because it wasn't interactive and then brought it back where it's even less interactive.
Yeah. Just exists.
Yeah. And then the other thing is you have to survive for the ritual to trigger. Yep. So if you die by taking D3 mortal wounds by rolling double or triple, it doesn't go off. However, Tom very interestingly pointed out, you can only cast one of each with each sorcerer. But if you don't cast it successfully, you may attempt it again. Yeah. Essentially, it says choose a ritual that has not been manifested this turn, and it only manifests if you actually successfully cast. So let's say you want Twist of Fate, because obviously getting AP is really good, and that is Warp Charge 9.
Yep.
If you want to cast it, you have to roll 9 on 2d6. If you don't roll a 9, you can choose to add another d6. Let's say you just fail, you roll an 8. Your next sorcerer can then attempt it again. That's the same one.
Yeah, even if you take D3, even if one character takes D3 mortal wounds, let's say you get a double in there, and you don't therefore still successfully get Twist of Fate, another guy can have a go and still take the wounds, for example, or just not taking wounds at all. You don't roll a double, you don't roll a triple, but you still fail it. Somebody else can have a crack.
And if you take the wounds and you survive, it still goes off.
Yeah.
If you roll like a 12 on, like let's say you roll 666.
Yeah.
You know, so they're really good.
Yeah.
As we've already mentioned, so Destiny's Rune is 5, Temporal Surge is 6, Doombolt is 7, and Twist of Fate is 9.
Yeah.
And obviously 10 and 11 plus if they get the better effects. Yeah. So they're all really cool. They're all really good. And it's nice because I think the problem with Thousand Sons is you brought all those Cabal points at the start of the game, and they're obviously really good. And auto Doombolting was obviously really good. And then auto double Doombolting was obviously really good. However, as soon as you started losing units, then you are literally limited by the rituals you can perform. Now you aren't limited at all. Each unit can do it, or each sorcerer in your army can do it.
Yes.
Or aspiring sorcerer.
Which we'll get onto. Also, there's certain buffs. Magnus and Ahriman have got buffs to these Cabal of Sorcerers tests.
The Mutilate Vortex Beast gives plus within 6, gives +1 to the casts and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think you'll find that people are going to try and fish for the procs as well. I think you'll see a lot of the 3d6 rolling. You'll see the people roll 2 dice and try for that third one to get the +2 AP or the +6-inch move, things like that.
Yeah. So that is the main change. The army rule has had a complete gutting and rebuilding.
Yep.
But I think it's a lot cleaner. It's a lot nicer. It's just funny that it's a psychic test.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shall we look at some new robots?
Sekitar
robots?
Sekitar robots, that's what we're going to call it.
The Thousand Sons have stolen from the AdMate. So these are the only new unit in the book. Obviously, you've seen them. They're in the new box set.
Now, which have already previewed some of their rules, such as Infiltrate and Free Overwatch.
They do have Infiltrate. They also have Stealth. So stealthy, infiltrating robots. And as you said, they've got a free either Overwatch or Heroic Intervention every battle round.
Which is not bad.
Round. No, it's a nice option to have, right? Now, as points stand, these are currently 90 points for 2 in the Minotaur field manual. Could change. Four models in a squad is 180. So I'd take them in 2s or 4s.
Yeah, sure.
Now, they move 8, toughness 6. They have a 3+ save with a 5+ invulnerable save, 4 wounds, leadership 7, OC 1. You can't attach anything to them as things stand, and their ballistic skill 4. Which is the thing that
not fill me with the excitement.
That is quite an interesting one. Now, there are the odd 1 or 2 ways to improve the ballistic skill, but not many. And when I say improve ballistic, I mean you can get reroll 1s here. You can get +1 to hit.
Make it more accurate, yeah.
Make them more. You can get +1 to hit if you're shooting at a certain unit that maybe has had a psychic attack hit them. There are a few ways, but you'd have to really lean into that to try and make that happen and stuff like that.
So not only are they kind of ugly, I think we have different opinions. I'm not mega excited about them.
But what excites me, and I know you're not mega excited, is they do come with guns, and more guns.
They do come with more guns. So they come equipped with a heavy warp flamer, which is strength 5 -2 1 damage, D6.
Yes.
Fine.
A missile rack.
A missile rack, which is
strength 10, -2, and flat 3 damage.
2 shots, but hitting on a 4.
Yes.
So 1 hit.
And a Pyre Flux Melter, which is melter 2, strength 10, -4, D6 damage.
Yeah. With a range of 12.
Yeah. Also has a power claw. They've got some fighting combat. They've got.
You can swap the melter gun for a strength 3 flamer and a big punchy fist, which is kind of cool. 3 attacks, strength 10 -2 T damage. Yeah. Hit on 4s.
So you're not keen?
I'm not excited about them. 1, the models aren't great.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
They pulled out some artwork and I was like, that was kind of cool. You see the model, it's like, that looks nothing like it. Maybe the paint job will save them. I don't know. But they don't excite me as a model, and they don't excite me on paper.
They move static and square.
They're static, but move 8.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny. And obviously stealth and infiltrate is decent.
Yeah.
And they're only 90 points. There's only 2 of them. You know?
Yeah.
It's not like 3-6, you got like 6 of these bad boys, get a buff on them. It's only 2 or 4, or 2 or 4 is like nearly 200 points. There's other things I'd rather have for that many points.
However, this is a tease, wait till you get to my list, and I've included 3 squads of 2, and you will see why, and I have teched into them. I think I've tried to find a list that may run them as best as possible.
Yeah, that's fair. So that's the only new unit in the book. Did they need other units? Probably.
Yep.
I don't know. Other big changes from throughout the book. Obviously, some of them are relatively obvious. There's no cultists.
No. Zangos are your cultists, accept it. Yeah, accept your fate. See what I did there?
Yeah. The twist of fate is that Ahriman, mine's on foot there. Not anymore.
Illegal!
Not anymore. Armor now only comes on a disc.
Yep, he does.
And the discs, such as the Exalted Sorcerers on disc, move 10 rather than 12. However, you can now attach them to Zangor Enlightened. Either
the
bows or
guys
sticks.
on discs and
Yeah, which is pretty funky, actually.
Are you ready to do the good, the bad, and the meh?
Ugly.
Something.
Rosebud Thorn.
Rosebud Thorn. Let's do it.
Okay. So we've got our Rosebud Thorn, the good, the bad, the ugly, the good, bad, meh. I haven't quite come up with like a good name for it yet.
In the comments, please put your suggestions, but they must be allowed to be said out loud. Okay, thank you.
We've got the books, the dogs, and...
Bollocks? No.
Well, I was going to say meh. Who are Thousand Sons like indifferent to? The good, the books, the dogs, and the ravens. Okay.
There you go. Okay.
So the books, the good things. I think we've got 2 out of 4 playable Primarchs, and one of them being Magnus the Red.
Okay.
Magnus the Red looks very cool. He's got a lot of wounds. He's very survivable. He's got some pretty decent abilities on the Lord of the Crimson King ability, one of the 3 ways to use. He's got some decent shooting and he's pretty decent in combat. So I think Magnus might be playable at 420 points.
Ooh, baby.
I will tell you more about when I get to my list. But I mean, T11, 204 at move 14. He's on 100 mil base. He's got massive wings, which is usually a detriment, but he gets +2 to cast his rituals.
Yep.
And you need line of sight. And because he's so fast, you can kind of use his wing, tuck out over a building, cast a ritual. Maybe temporal surging back behind the building.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, I know how excited your eyes got when you saw there was a -1 damage ability with him as well, which I'm sure you'll touch on very soon.
Yeah. So there's 2 of 3 of his Crimson King abilities are very, very good. -1 damage being one of those.
So that's the good.
That's the good. I think Magnus the Red, like Mortarion, is pretty playable.
Okay. Let's full send the other direction. What's bad? What don't you like about Codex?
Well, I feel like Magnus is quite expensive. It should be 400.
Okay.
But I also think the rest of the book is expensive. I think Thousands might be still suffering from their sins and they're kind of a bit worried about the Cabal of Sorcerers because it is very good. So I think everything feels well expensive. I think you struggle to have like more than 3 power units.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
But then when you've got those 3 brick units, you don't have a lot after that.
You don't have utility pieces to
There's a couple, you know. I feel like everyone is going to be going out and buying loads of little guys on discs soon. I'm so glad I've got 12 at home. Yeah. So they're really good. And I feel like they've got those little units, but I feel like because the way the army works and because of like your cabals are so good against 1 unit, you kind of want to take max units. So everything feels really expensive.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like you feel like you should have another 100, maybe 150 points to take.
Yeah.
2 units of Zangors or a Rubrics and something else to just bolt on. You know what I mean? So I think
because like your max unit of Rubrics are coming in at 190 points. You probably want to put a character on there. You probably want to put an enhancement. You'll hit 300 points.
Yeah.
You want to take 10 Scarabocult Terminators and they're 375.
Man, yeah.
Which is, you know, pretty good. It's pretty, let's say, cheap compared to a lot of Terminators for all the abilities they get because they're like wardens.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of survivability. But it's 400 points. You bang a character on there, you put a Primarch in there, that's half your list.
Yeah.
You know? Which is, so they feel very, very elite.
Yeah.
So it almost forces you to take stuff like Zangors.
Yeah.
Which I don't think a lot of people, I think base Zangors are crap.
Yeah. You're going to see maybe a squad holding a back objective and they've got a cool little ability, but that's it. Yeah.
So that's my good and my bad, my meh.
Give me a meh. What would you have liked to have seen or done differently yourself?
I think the detachments are kind of unimaginative.
They're following a template.
Yeah. We've seen it with every chaos book. There's a kind of an index one.
Yep.
You know, kind of an index is great, fine. And then we see a vehicle one. And then we see they're not demons, but they kind of are demon one. Yeah. Zangor or Potswalker. Yeah. And then we see the demon one.
Where you can bring your scintillating whatever they are with them. You know what I mean?
And you get a demon one, which is actually demons. They're the detachments.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're all called, but there they are, the detachments you've got to play with.
And you take highly into either your infantry dudes, your mini demons, your makes, or your vehicles. That's it. They're what you take into.
Yeah. That's what I meant. I think there's a bit of a playbook. So the detachments aren't like, when I open a book, you could probably, like I've just done, you could probably guess what they're going to be, which is not necessarily bad. Yep. And I'm not like trying to criticize anyone who's spent their hard work to write this codex. I don't think it's a bad codex, but I'm just a bit like, again, it feels like the Chaos Codexes are all very, formulaic.
Tick box. Yeah, we've done this one, we've done that one. Everyone is now happy and can play their army in some form or shape.
So that's my meh. Not exactly a bad thing, but it's something that I would have hoped more from.
I like it.
So that's we need a good name for it. That's my good bad meh. Okay, Tom, what's the good thing? What's the thing you really like about this book?
I think it's obvious because we just discussed it quite a lot at the top. I think the rituals, the change that's come to the Cabal of the Sorcerers is really good. Flexibility.
It's just so much simpler. I don't have to do a little get my calculator out to be like, right, you're worth 1, you're worth 3, you're worth 7. That actually put me off because I sent a picture of some Thousand Sons to someone and they're like, you have a Thousand Sons army? I was like, yeah, I would play it in 10th because it just sounds so complex. No, it's cast a power, 2d6. Does it work? No. Throw another die. Does it work? Maybe.
Yes.
That's just so nice and so simple. And like you mentioned, in list building, really, like a lot of Reddits and stuff like that, Thousand Sons are they need to have a minimum of 14 Cabal points. And then as soon as you deploy something bad and you lose something quite big, it's like, yeah, cool, I ain't got enough Cabal points now. I can do one ability a turn. Or I just don't interact with the detachment rule or the army rule, should I say. Whereas
now every character that you're going to attach can do it. You're aspiring sorcerer. You've got so much more ability to get all 4 of these off. And if you lose a character or 2, you've still got those redundant pieces. Yeah, you can only tap into them 1 each battle round, if that makes any sense, until it's manifested. But I think most of them, if you want them, you can make them happen.
Yeah.
And they will influence the game.
And there's ways you can do multiple. There's still an enhancement in the index knockoff detachment to double doom bolt.
Love a double doom bolt, man. D3 plus 3 twice. Yes, please.
Yeah, so you can pop your head out, double doom bolt, and then use someone else to make you do a temporal surge back out of the way. It's still doable, but it's a lot there's less mind messing or less mind capacity you need to do it. It's kind of pop out, roll 2d6. I don't have to calculate it. Right, I'm going to spend 3 here, 2 there. Have I got enough to do this?
Yeah.
So I like it.
I like it. The psychic phase is back and we're all happy about it.
Yeah.
The bad.
They're bad.
What we were saying about the dogs. The dogs.
The dogs. Can't put those dogs.
One word, melee. This army does not feel like it has much melee units opportunity. For me, this looks like a shooting army.
There's a couple of units that punch, but they don't feel thousands. They don't feel like the Molefines.
Yeah,
they don't feel like a Thousand Sons unit. They feel like a Chaos unit.
I think if you're sending things into combat, it's quite hard to see what actually is going in. Really, other than, like you said, a couple of Molefines early on.
They don't really synergize well with the army because basically everything is AP2 in shooting, and you have ways to make it additional AP. With Twist of Fate.
Twist of Fate. Sorry.
So you can make it additional AP with that, but then it's just like.
And your psychic powers are 18 inches, your Cabal stuff's 24. So basically you're sitting in that weird, just behind mid-board and trying to form a sort of gun line and touch.
You're tiptoeing around them. Yeah. You don't really want to. Now, there are units that can hold their own.
Yeah.
There are units that are a bit little choppy, but there's nothing that's like, that is a melee unit.
Yeah.
Even like the Terminators, they're pretty choppy.
Yeah.
But they are a shooting unit that have swords.
You're still, in my opinion, you look at their shooting output and that is where they excel. Their missile racks, their bolters being AP2, etc. So that is my bad. I don't see too many melee options. My meh, and something that I think, brain power, okay? Your unit selection and order that you're going to have to do with this army is going to give you a headache by turn 5. There are going to be lots of individual little psychic units that you're going to want to cast their psychic powers first, so you're going to have to select them onto an enemy unit.
My psychic powers should say psychic attacks.
Sorry, psychic attacks onto an enemy unit, such as Astral Blast from a sorcerer onto a unit 18 inches away to just hit it, which will then prog different abilities for example, let's take a Predator Annihilator with the las cannons, reroll, hit roll, and damage roll. But you're going to have to think really long and hard about the order. And I think
there's a lot of stacking. There's a lot of time. It's a bit quite literally. It's like playing Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Even though I've just said with the Cabal points, there's less thinking needed.
Yes.
It's not brain dead.
No.
What I'm saying is, it's just like less brain power used there and using it elsewhere to be like, if I do this first, then this, then this, then this will be much better, rather than doing that first.
Yeah.
There's a lot of layer stacking that triggers from being targeted from or hit by other psychic attacks first.
So sort of army, you're going to need to play 2 or 3 or 4 games with
to
get the ordering, and then even make a little sub list of yourself of the order that you wish to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think if you get it right, it will see.
Yeah, definitely. So finally, let's talk about the list that we wrote. There's 5 detachments.
Yeah.
We've chosen one each, and we both wrote a list with that because we were most excited about it. Does it mean it's the most competitive? Maybe.
No. We've tried our hardest, but we've also
we've
not gone for like absolute jank, have we?
We tried to write some nasty stuff.
Yeah.
I love for the jank, but
couldn't find it.
It wasn't too much crazy, I don't think.
Mikey, I have gone for the vehicle detachment in this one, which is called the Warp Forged Cabal. Okay. This is all about buffing vehicles. The detachment rule is if within 6 inches of one or more friendly Thousand Sons Psycho models, a vehicle can reroll 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, and 1 damage roll every time it shoots or fights.
That is pretty good.
If it's not within, you just choose one of them. So even if you've got no psychers nearby, it happens to have died, you still see the benefit.
Yeah.
So actually, if you happen to just need the reroll wound roll from a las cannon shot, you've still got it.
Now I understand why you've got 6 Sakatar robots. Because each one of them can reroll a hit wound and damage.
Yes. And there's a lot of D6 damage dice rolls in my list, which will explain how I've teched into it.
Okay.
The only downside to this is that, and I sort of say downside, every time you roll a deadly demise check, it happens on a 5+ if a psyker is within 6 inches. So you're basically you're telekinetically connected to them, and if you blow up, you're getting a bit of a backlash.
Yeah, you get the backlash from like the warp explosion of all the crap flying out. Okay,
yes.
that's quite fun.
That's quite cool. Also, it has a benefit in the sense that it will affect all enemy models nearby. So you send a Mauler Fiend straight in, and it happens to have a psyker nearby and blows up D3 everywhere, baby.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that.
Quite fun, right?
That's a fun detachment.
Yeah.
So it's called Warp Fire Infusion, that one.
Yeah.
That's the ability.
Now, going through my list, vehicles in this book, pretty standard vehicle list that you'll have seen. The only thing is that these also get access to both the Mauler Fiend and the Forge Fiend. I know the Emperor's Children didn't.
Yeah, the Predators as well.
Yeah, and Predators as well.
Sun's Predators doesn't sound as bad, that's why.
Sun's what?
Sun's Predator doesn't sound as bad. Not great for the SEO, Tom.
No. The interesting to note was that the Forge Fiend points wasn't actually in the back of the book. So if you look, they just completely missed the points off. But hey, we've got it now. So it's all fine. It's in the Minotaur Field menu and hopefully your app. Okay.
Tell me about your list, and then you can tell you about the strats that are going to work well with it.
Starting off with Araman at 100 points, as things stand, okay? His abilities, he allowed 3,000 Sons units to redeploy a point to strat reserve after you've deployed. So let's say you Sekatar robots, stick them up front and say, haha, I've put in these and infiltrating them really far forward, and you can then double bluff and pull them back.
Yeah,
into strat reserve.
Yeah.
Or if you worry you're going to get blown off the turn because you can't hide all your vehicles and you're worried that you're going to get alphaed, you can pull off some of your vehicles and then bring them on later on, for example.
Yeah, it's not bad for 100 points. He's got the Transmogrifying Blast, which is obviously one of his psychic doom bolt thing. That's strength 6 -1, D3 damage to D6 +1, which is a pretty good shooting attack. And he's obviously got the Black Staff of Iron Man at strength 7, -1, 3 damage. If it's called Black Staff of Me, you know, it's going to be pretty good.
And he also makes the Cabals go off on a +1 on the dice roll as well. So he's better at getting them sort of
and
things
flat move 10.
Yeah. I'm sticking Ironman with 6 Zangor Enlightened.
Okay,
with the Fate Caster Bows. Now, you're probably thinking, why? Okay, the Fate Caster Bows, 30-inch range, precision, lethal hits, ignore cover. They've got 2 shots each, 4+, strength 5, AP -2, 2 damage.
That's pretty good with precision.
Yeah, they move 10 on a disc like Ironman, so you've got quite a fast-moving unit. They fly, and they have a reactive move of D6 if somebody comes within 9 inches of them.
Okay, how many points today?
80 points.
That is pretty cheap. And they're 2 wins each.
2 wins each.
That's pretty cheap.
It's pretty cool.
That's pretty nuts.
I think they complement Ironman quite well. They've got that 30-inch shooting attack. Ironman's going to want to be sort of dancing around, casting his psychic, getting his cabals off.
Yeah.
Cabal the Sorcerer's test off. So I think pretty decent complement. The precision's nice as well. 6.
Precision's nice, yeah. 2 damage pop at AP2.
Yeah.
With lethal.
12 shots going into a character that might be in a unit of Marines.
Downside, they're only hitting on 4s, but still.
Yeah.
Ignore cover as well.
Yeah.
Now, I should say the other thing that can attach to them is the Exalted Sorcerer, who gives Lone Operative 18 on disc, which is really nice.
Yeah.
No spoilers for my list. I almost had that. So you can actually make quite a scary character sniping unit that can't be targeted, because obviously they can sit at 29 inches or 30 inches shooting something they can't be targeted back. So they are, in my opinion, probably one of the best units in the book.
Yeah.
They're really, really good.
I think you're going to see quite a few of them, at least 1 or 2 units of them. Even
what 100 points is 18 with 200 odd points.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Nice.
Yeah, we could.
I have got, now to some of the vehicles, I've got 3 units of 2 Sekitar robots.
Okay.
Now,
why did I go for 4s?
Because it doesn't proc as well with the my detachment roll, which is
the re-rolling.
If you've got a psyker nearby, you're re-rolling a hit, a wound, and a damage roll. And you've got in here the D6 damage from the melter.
Sure.
Everything is low amount of shots, so you're going to want to make sure that 4+ to hit actually goes off. Re-rolling a wound. 90 points for 2.
Yeah.
Toughness 6, 4 wounds.
They don't explode.
They don't explode, no.
Which is good and bad.
Yeah.
You lose half your detachment rules.
I think actually, and again, infiltrating, stealth, I think they're going to be quite easy to hide in buildings as well. They don't look massive, so.
I think they look like they're on like 40mm bases. We obviously don't have any.
No.
They look like they're on 40mm bases, so they're going to be quite easy to like tuck behind and get loads of like little shots off. I don't know. It's just the BS4 that doesn't excite me, but obviously you made them be in that detachment. They're a lot more consistent, which is nice.
I think got Predator Annihilator with las cannons for 130 points. Again, he's benefiting from the army roll. So las cannons re-rolling their D6 damage, hits and wounds.
Yeah. So they have Ensorcelled Annihilation, which you mentioned earlier. The timing thing is crucial. Each time this model makes a ranged attack against a monster or vehicle that is hit by one or more psychic attacks from a Thousand Sons Psyker, which is aspiring sorcerers as well, including Doombolt Ritual, that also counts as an attack, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
You can reroll the hit and the damage roll, and obviously you've got a Predator Twin Las Cannon, which is twin link. So it's reroll hit, wounds, and damage, basically with the last cannon. So it's pretty nice. Nice. It's pretty decent. Again,
30 points, decent chassis. It's Rhino chassis,
and it's rerolling a hit, wound, and damage anyway. So you got like the extra spot. Are you taking last cannon sponsored?
Yeah, you're taking effectively all the last cannon ships.
Yeah, so they're super consistent.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Got Vindicator. Now I've put pricey at 185 points, but obviously with the armor detachment roll, it's got D6 plus 3 shots. And there's a D6 plus 1 damage there.
Sure.
So again, you're getting more bang for your buck. If you want to re-roll that, you can do. I move it forward, and you get the guy with the lone op, which I'm going to come on to him, to just stand nearby him. Effectively, you've got a Vindicator sort of defense, and he gets to shoot in combat.
Yeah, because
at 0 penalty.
Yeah, it's got the same abilities on the other one. So it's got the siege. It's got the siege shield. Yeah. Got the siege shield on the front.
So I like that. Then I've got 1 squad of 70 Zangors. I know you're not keen, but they scout 6 inches. And if
like cultists used to.
Just like cultists used to. And if no enemy units are within 6 inches at the end of the turn, you can put them back into strat reserve for free. Okay. And bring them back on. So let's say, for example, you want to be ready for a mission that's going to come up, a card pull, you can have them ready to go, and they re-roll advance and charge roll. So I've just put good for objective play, hide them out of the way.
They're very, very cheap. Yeah.
5 Scarab Occult Terminators are next. Okay. I've also given the 5 Scarab Occult Terminators a Sorcerer and Terminator armor to attach to them. Okay. So the Scarab Occult at 180, the Sorcerer and Terminator at 85 points. Okay. The Sorcerer and Terminator armor gives everything +1 to hit that it hits with a psychic attack. So you can get
so the Sorcerer targets something.
Yeah.
And then every other Thousand Sons unit gets +1 to hit, which is obviously nuts.
Especially when you're thinking again about those BS4 Sekitar robots and things like that.
But it has to be the psychic attack, which means it has to be within 18.
Yes.
So again, like you said, tiptoeing the 18 inches.
You're going to be in that 18, 24, 12-inch sweet spot most of the time.
And it's great. Gaze of Hate is great. It's 3 attacks. He's on 3. Strength 4, mana 3, 2 damage. Anti-monster 4, anti-vehicle 4, dev wounds. Yeah. It's pretty funky.
It's really cool.
Cool.
I've given it a 5-point enhancement called Warp Siphon. You re-roll the additional dice from channeling the warp. So at the start, you remember you roll 2 dice, and then you roll a 3rd. And if for some reason that's not the result you want, or you get a double, you can re-roll that. The only difference is you take one mortal wound on a vehicle that you're stood next to. Okay, so
it's like within 6.
Within 6, yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good.
So rather than risk, rather than not getting the result you want, or maybe you are about to take D3 mortal wounds on the Terminator unit, which you really don't want to do, you just give it to a vehicle next door.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Because you've got Araman, but you don't have like any of the buffs to Cabals, do you?
No.
In this list. So that's quite nice to have like that in your pocket of like, I really need a Temporal Surge, I really need a Twist of Fate here type thing.
Yeah. I think that's quite nice. I then have an Exalted on Disc of Tzeentch on his own. Okay, and you're probably wondering why. I've also given him an enhancement of Perplexing Cloak, which is 20 points. Okay, gives him low knock. If he is stood within 3 inches of a vehicle.
Nice. Okay.
So he's the one who is going to be, he's fast, 10-inch, bouncing around on a disc. You're going to effectively be hugging the vehicles that you want to give the detachment rule buff to. So he might back up a Mauler feed. He might back up and jump to a Secatar robot knowing he's protected.
Yeah, because he flat moves 10.
Yeah.
And they're infantry mounted now.
Yeah.
So they can bomb through walls, but they're also bikes at the same time.
Work that one out. However, he has an 18-inch psychic torrent weapon as well. So if you just need to hit something, all you have to do is roll a dice to get 1 hit and you're in, if that makes any sense. And then you're getting the extra buffs on that unit that you're attacking as well. Which is quite nice, right?
Yeah, because his ability is binding tendrils and you're shooting phase after demolish shots. Like one enemy infantry unit hit by one or more attacks with the arcane fire, which is the torrent weapon, which is also strength 6 -2 D3 damage, which is pretty nuts. Then they're ensnared. While the unit is ensnared, they are -2 from move and charge rolls.
Nice. So you're basically bombing him forward, sticking him next to a forward moved vehicle, and then you're casting that to slow another unit down and get buffs out. It's nice, right?
That's nice. Yeah.
I've then got a squad of 5 Rubric Marines, have the psychic keyword. So if you stick them next to a vehicle, the Aspiring Sorcerer is giving the detachment rule out.
Which you should say, kind of like Exarchs now.
Yeah.
So like Rubrics have 2 wounds, but the Sorcerer has 3.
Yeah.
It's the same with the Scarab Cult because they go from 3 to 3 to 4, which is quite nice. So they're essentially like they feel more like mini
lieutenants.
Yeah, they feel like lieutenants. They feel like mini attached characters because they have like their own profile, have their own buffs, and they are the only sorcerer. It's not like they're the psyker model in that unit rather than the whole unit being a psyker.
Yeah, you just can't remove them. You always come with one.
Yeah, so it does also mean that when you are casting rituals with a unit, the sergeant of the squad is the caster, not the unit. So you have to measure from that model.
Yes. But if you take damage, you don't have to take it on him. You can take it on the unit. So you've basically got multiple wound bodyguards effectively.
Yeah, and then it's a wound, which is nice.
Yeah, really nice. So I've got a unit 5 on their own, Rubrics. I then have a big blob with 10 Rubric Marines, okay? Now these guys, I put a character with them, the Exalted Sorcerer on foot, okay? And you're wondering why? Okay. Gives a 4+ invulnerable save to a Rubric squad. So you attach him to 10, they are a 3-up, 4-up. Best part as well is that he heals with...
In the command phase, if this model is leading the unit, you can roll D6. And a 1, take D3 mortal wounds. Ripperoonie.
Nice.
But if not, he rebinds Rubrici. So if you roll 2 to 5, you get a bodyguard back. On a 6, you get 2, which is cool. It's very Space Marine 2. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's very good.
I just love how survivable a brick of 10 can be with him, which is really nice.
And we should say that the Rubric ability, each time the model makes an attack, a ranged attack, you reroll wounds of 1. If the target is on an objective mark, you reroll wounds. So I believe that is exactly the same. They definitely had to reroll wounds before on them, whether they're an objective or someone else's. You know?
Yeah, just the enemy has to control that objective as well. That's something. So you can't just like pick on somebody who's run onto your objective if you're controlling. Yeah,
it's an objective you do not control.
Yes.
The spot.
Back to the vehicles. I have... How many Mauler Fiends? 2!
2 Mauler Fiends, interesting. Like we just said that we didn't synergize whatsoever. And you brought 2?
I have. I brought 2 Mauler Fiends with the Magma Cutters because of the D6 damage. And in combat, fists are also D6 +1. So this is, from what I can see, is the best combat in the book. It's a standard Mauler Fiend in this detachment. You fire them forward, two early distraction card effects, either straight through the middle or up sides or whatever it is. You can support them with the low NOP Exalted Sorcerer on disc for rerolls if you want and stuff like that. And I think at 130 points, they're not bad. Yeah,
they've got great ability. They can heroically intervene for free.
Yep.
And can do so if someone else has already, which doesn't happen very often anymore. No. So if you got 2 Mauler Fiends and someone charges in front of you, let's say they charge your low NOP Sorcerer, you can heroically intervene with those 2 and another unit for 1 CP.
Yeah.
That is quite scary. In addition, each Chalice model declares a charge against an enemy unit that is in combat with 1 or more Thousand Sons Psyche units from your army. You reroll charges.
So the charge is a squad of 5 Rubrics. They're a Psyche unit.
Yeah, you can heroic and then reroll for free, but also you can charge something in, and then they could maybe have a longer charge. Again, like you said with timing, charge something in. Now they're engaged at range, and now the Mauler Fiend gets reroll charges. So Mauler Fiend always spots a charge, probably second or last.
Yep. And you take, the last but not least is a Forge Fiend, the DACA version, with the ectoplasma cannons, D3 shots, strength 10, -3, 3 damage.
Yeah.
If you hit a unit, you suppress them, making them -1 to hit. And you can also take the Hades Oscars, which I really like the look of, 36-inch, 6 shots each. So if you have 2 of them, it's 12 shots, strength 8, -2, 2 damage.
Yeah, sure.
So giving out quite a lot of rate of shots. Again, benefiting from the detachment roll. Reroll a hit, reroll a wound, reroll damage if you're within range of percent.
Yeah, I like the ectoplasma cannons. I think it's hard to look at them right now after we've just seen the World Eaters ones, but because obviously they don't have rapid fire and they don't have reroll within 18. However, they're still pretty good. Giving out -1 to hit. Plasma energy is good. It doesn't have hazardous these days.
No.
Strength 10 -3 damage. It's 3d3 shots essentially getting, which is nice. At 36-inch range.
And that is my list to bang on 2,000 points.
Okay.
So
talk to me about the detachment. So we know we've got really good units that are all benefiting from the detachment. We've gone through the units. Yeah. Well, some of the stratagems that look really good, mate.
Yeah. So all of the strats are 1 CP in this detachment.
That's handy.
Every single one of them. Cheap, cheerful.
There's no CP generation in this book.
I've not found anything in my detachment.
Initially, I was writing lists. I put a demon prince in, and I was like, oh wait, it doesn't have that ability that every other demon prince has. So
good to see everything is at 1 CP. Yeah. So I'll rattle through the strats. We've got Hex Marked Armor. Use it in the shooting or the fight phase. -1 AP on attacks against a vehicle. So a bit of a defensive stratagem.
Armor contend, but vehicle exclusively. Yeah. So it's not bad.
Mutate Landscape is effectively a command phase sticky objective with a bit of a twist. So a psyche unit can make the objective sticky. If an enemy unit comes within range on a 4+, they suffer D3 mortal wounds. And that is including if they come across it on a move, a charge, a fallback, whatever it is, they have to roll for 4+ D3 mortal wounds. Okay. On sticky objective.
Yeah, that's cool.
Cyper Spirit Machinations. A vehicle can fall back, shoot, and charge within 6 inches of a Psycho model. So your Sekitar robots get tied up and don't die. Fall back, shoot, potentially recharge within range of a
Vindicator and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
Malevolent Animus, command phase until the next command phase.
Male villain.
Malevolent Animus.
Malevolent Animus. All right, lad. What's that do, lad?
Until the next command phase, a vehicle unit is malevolent. I genuinely can't say
malevolent.
Malevolent.
Well, unit is malevolent. It
ignores all modifiers, including 4 tests made for it as well.
Profile characteristics, which doesn't happen very often. Weapon skill and ballistic skill modifiers. Yeah, but not saves.
1 CP for another word I can't say.
Ensorcelled.
That is a bad word, isn't it? Ensorcelled. I'm so ensorcelled. I've gone out and got absolutely ensorcelled.
Me on a Friday night.
Got ensorcelled tonight.
Absolutely ensorcelled.
Vehicle within 6 inches of a psychic unit. There's a theme here. Ranged weapons have the psychic keyword and get +1 to win until the end of the phase.
Cool.
That's useful for giving out buffs from a unit, if that makes sense.
Such as Chaos Predator.
Yeah.
Which gets buffs if you've been hit by a psychic attack.
Yes. Walt Flame Gargoyles is the last one. End of the opponent's charge phase. Roll 6d6. For each 5+, the enemy suffers 1 mortal wound and must immediately take a battle shot test.
It's a nice
I assume you could do it with Overwatch. Could you double up and do both?
Yeah, you could Overwatch, and then when they make the charge, then you could go.
Walt Flame Gargoyles. Terminator's coming in. I'm going to Overwatch you, and then I'm going to...
Well, it's only if you target a vehicle.
Yeah, but let's take the Sekitar robots, which Overwatch for free.
Sure.
Somebody's coming into you.
Sure.
Free Overwatch.
Oh.
Free, and then you use your 1 CP and your Wall Flame Gargoyles, which are also a vehicle.
That's pretty funky, actually.
It doesn't depend on how many models they're charging into. It's just, even if it's 1 vehicle, you roll 6d6.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's quite dangerous, right?
That's a lot of damage just to charge something.
Yeah.
I can see the cogs. I can see how they're turning now.
Again, if you're happy to tech into vehicles, it's got some bite, this list, and they're all cheap strats. So yeah.
Is there anything you'd be worried about playing against this list, do you think?
I think mass infantry. I think you could get really...
You absolutely smash, let's say, Imperial Knights.
Yeah, Knights come. You've got Melter and Las Cannons for days that are reliable as hell.
You probably do pretty well into Custodes as well, because you just don't have many models, because you just go... Are you going to use your Warden ability this turn? If not, I'm rerolling all the Melter guns at you.
Yeah. I think if you're coming across against Orc boys that are, and Horde Guard and stuff like that, I don't know if you're relying on Inferno, you're relying on basically bolters at -2.
That stratagem.
Yeah.
Charge me.
Yeah. I'll flame you back. That's the only thing I think I'd worry about and stuff like that. The only enhancements that I didn't use, by the way, that I think are worth, there is a 15.1 for healing D3 wounds each.
Biomechanical mutation. So
in the command phase.
Fix a vehicle. You turn into a tech marine. Yeah.
Turn to submarine. And then a longer range on your casting of a ritual for 10 points called Warp Curse Rune Master. So you get 30 inches. You know, Doombolt's 24 inches.
Sure.
You can give something a 30-inch Doombolt effectively.
Nice. Okay. That's a pretty decent detachment, to be fair.
You like it now, don't you?
Well, you know, I didn't look at your list before we started recording. I want you to sell it to me. I think you've sold it pretty well.
Dragon's Den style.
Is it an offer? Is it like was £2 now £1.50?
No, you have to you want to do can I have 7% of your company for 10,000?
I want royalties on every set.
Every time a Secretary robot uses one flame guard,
I want royalties.
Say Tom Bradley sent you. All right, okay.
They call me Mr. Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay. My list. I think it's pretty good.
So I'm so ready for you to say the detachment name. Okay?
Now, I was going to do the index one, Grand Coven, and that essentially has doctrines, which is quite good.
Yeah.
And I looked at that one, and it was quite good. But then I saw Rubric Phalanx, and I was like, something whispers to me about that one.
Was it jumping off the page where 3 words jumping off the page?
Something was stacking in my head. The detachment rule is called All Is Dust. It's back, baby.
Not that question again. No.
It does stack, actually.
We moved past this in the previous edition, didn't we?
Yeah, and everyone kept asking me. They still ask me today. All Is Dust, okay? Because the Rubric Phalanx feels like the 9th edition army. It's got a lot of the same abilities from the 9th edition army, just updated for 10. All Is Dust, each time an attack with an unmodified damage characteristic of 1 is allocated to a Rubric model, which is Rubrics and Scarab Cult Terminators, add 1 to any armor saving throws.
Oh. Was that a 2+ armor save?
That's a 2+ armor save or ignore AP, essentially, which is pretty good. So essentially, against damage 1, you have Armor of Contempt or better, because it gives you +1 save, which is an amazing detachment ability. It's really, really good. And I'm going to tell you about my list. And again, a lot of these things, if you've been playing Thousand Sons for a while or played against Thousand Sons last edition, you'll recognize, because it does feel like they literally took the Psychic Awakening-esque stuff, and then banged it into 10th edition. Starting out with Big Daddy Red. There he is. 420 points of goodness. Let me tell you a little bit about him.
Okay.
14 move, T11, 2 up 4, 16 wounds.
Baby.
OC6, which is actually something people forget about. OC6 is crazy.
Yeah.
That's two vehicles. He has the Gaze of Magnus and Zinch's Firestorm. So he's got 2 shooting attacks, both 24-inch range. Gaze of Magnus is dead wounds at 3d3 shots, strength 11, -2, 3 damage.
Nice. So nice. Flat 3
That's
damage.
anti-tank, baby.
Really good. Yeah.
Zinch's Firestorm, which is a blast d6 +3, strength 6, -1, 2 damage. Pretty decent.
Horde.
Yeah.
Shit clear.
It also ignores cover.
Nice. Yeah. Cool.
So that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun. Blade of Magnus is great. He's got a sweep attack, which is strength 8, -1, 2 damage at 14 attacks. So not quite as good as multi-sweep, but pretty decent. And then he has the strike, which is dev wounds, 7 attacks, strength 16, -3, 3 damage.
Yeah, you're using that most of the time, let's be honest.
So not a huge amount of damage, but very consistent, because obviously everyone else is like d6 +1, etc. So he doesn't roll a load of damage, but very consistent damage. He's got 2 abilities, one of them being the Lord of the Planet of the Sorcerers, because he's been studying the anime for years on end. He can do 2 rituals rather than 1, and he adds 2.
Yeah.
Which is
he's a machine at casting them rituals, man.
Yeah, he can cast 3d6 +2. He should be casting any ritual he wants. Should be on paper. He can also deep strike, which you'll never do. I just thought I'd mention it. His Crimson King abilities, or his Unearthly Power is called. Choose one of the Crimson King abilities. The worst one, I think, is
Go on, get that one out of the way first.
Each. Start putting shooting face up one enemy unit within 24 inches. Range weapons has hazardous. It's fun.
Yeah.
If you've got like a horrific psychic shooting unit, your Secretary robots have how many guns?
3 each.
Okay, now you're taking 3 hazardous tests every time they shoot, which is obviously pretty good. I just think the other ones kind of outshine it. I think that one's very fun.
It's like the offensive, isn't it? It's the slightly offensive one in them, isn't it?
The cute thing is you don't need it to be visible.
Right, okay.
So you can just sit in behind a wall and go, that unit over there that wants to shoot another one of my units, now hazardous.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good, because I was playing a detachment, the Library's Conclave, which you can make enemy melee weapons hazardous. That was great.
Yeah.
So this one doesn't sing at me, because you can also choose -1 damage on him.
Oh,
which is nice. Obviously, 2 up 4, -1 damage.
That's really nice, yeah.
Or you can have an aura called Time Flux, which is all Thousand Sons units within 6 get +2 move. So if you need to be like really spread out, turn 1 me, you need to be really fast, get onto objectives, because not everything's really fast in this arm, it's quite slow.
Yeah.
He just makes it quite fast. So I think turn 1, you'd kind of be like going, right, okay, everyone's plus 2
Fan
moves.
out everyone. Boom.
Yeah. And then when you're in position, you'd be like, right, trees and Azines, you've got hazardous. And then when you want to send him in, because I don't think you can send him in too early, but you do want to send him in, you -1 damage.
Yeah.
So I feel like there is like a turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 ability, but you can obviously choose any per turn.
Yeah.
Which is nice. And it's chosen at the start of the battle round as well. Good and bad. If you go second, it's like, oh, I'm already halfway through the turn, don't want this ability anymore. But also if you go second, you have the way of like being able to use it still, which is nice. So he feels pretty good. Again, 420 points, maybe a little bit high, but I feel like he's a lot more playable because his aura, his abilities are really good.
Yeah.
So that's Magnus at 420.
Nice.
I've then got an Infernal Master.
Okay, the relatively new character.
Yeah, so the Infernal Master, he's got some psychic flamers. He's got like strength 6 -2, 1 damage, or 2d6 when he overcharges it, but it becomes hazardous. He gives a unit sustained 1,
nice,
which is nice. And he has his old once per turn, you can change the result of a hit, wound, or save to a 6.
6. Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah.
So obviously everything has an invuln. And it's once per turn. So in your turn, you go, I'm going to flip that hit to a 6, so it's sustained. And then obviously in the opponent's turn, you go, I'm going to flip that to a 6, so it's a save, which is nice. So it auto passes a save usually. And obviously because it's you're changing the result, you roll them all first and then change them. So if you roll 6 6s, you can make it 7 6s, for example. Yeah, which is cool. So we've got Infernal Master, tap to 10 rubrics with bolters and cannon. So obviously their bolters are great. Yeah, there's lots of AP too. The Soul Reaper cannon has dead wounds, and obviously they're re-rolling wounds on an objective. So now they are hitting pretty well. They've got sustain, they've got the auto flip, and they've got reroll wounds. Which is
survivable cool. Because if you're shooting 1 damage guns at them, you are basically on a 2+ save.
Yeah, effectively against most things 2 up, 5 up, which is nice. You'll do 1 Soul Reaper cannon per 10, which is a bit annoying. I thought it was 2 per 5, which is only 1 per 10. But still. Yeah. Still, it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. And I've got those in a Rhino, my friend.
Okay.
So the Rhino, and this is why the detachment's really good. Let me tell you about the Rhino. Please. 90 points for a Rhino.
Yeah.
So the Rhino in this one has the Sorcerer's support ability. So in your shooting phase, after this model is shot, select 1 unit that was hit by 1 or more of those attacks. Until the end of the phase, each time a model that disembarks from this disembarks from this transport this turn makes a psychic attack that targets an enemy unit, add 1 to the hit and wound rolls.
Nice.
Which is a bit like, okay, psychic attack. Yeah. That means you got your Astral Blast, etc. Because you got the Astral Flamer thing from the Infernal Master. You've got the Malefic Curse from the Rubric Marines, which is 3 attacks, strength 4, -3, 1 damage, anti-infantry 1, dev wounds. Anti-infantry 4+, dev wounds. However, because we are playing Rubrici Risen or Rubrici Phalanx, the old stratagem, not his TCP, you can increase the strength of all bolters to 5 and make them psychic.
Nice, okay.
So now what you have is a unit that is now hitting on 2s after it gets out of a Rhino, that has sustained hits, that auto flips to a 6, that is +1 to wound, that is re-rolling wounds if it targets something on an objective.
That is effectively your combination that you're going to maybe do at once, and it's going to destroy an entire unit.
Yeah, no, as I said, it's 2 CP, so just for full clarity. The enhancement is called Infernal Fusillade, which is what they had in the index. Your shooting phase, 1 psychic unit from your army that's not been set to shoot. Until the end of the phase, all Inferno bolt pistols, Inferno bolt guns, Inferno combi bolters, and Inferno combi weapons equipped by models in your unit have the psychic ability and are a strength 5. You get +1 to wound with an extra strength as well. So against like toughness 4, you'll be winning on 2s.
Yeah.
Re-rolling. And if you're going against like strength 5, it's going to be 3s, etc. So that strength 5 is nice to just become like a really good anti-infantry shooting unit with loads of shots with the Soul Reaper, with an icon that's going to give you ignore cover, I believe.
Yeah, built-in ignore cover, isn't it, from them?
So you've just got, how many shots is it if you were rapid fire? 16 shots at AP2 with the Soul Reaper, which is another 6 shots at strength 6 AP2, and then a pistol with Inferno Bolt pistol. And then you're going to have the Malefic Curse, which is anti-infantry dev wounds, with +1 to wound as well. And all of that. And then obviously all that is like AP2 or AP3. And then you got Twist and Fate in your pocket to make it AP3 or AP4.
Yeah.
Because you can increase the AP. So that one unit, whilst a little bit expensive, because you've got 10 rubrics, which are 190, the Rhino and the character, just feels like anything that is like toughness 4 or 5 just dies in front of you, just completely. Now, he has Risen Rubric as an upgrade. I will tell you about that in a minute, because I also have teams of 5 rubrics with flamers, because Warp Flamers are D6, strength 4 -1, 1 damage. Now, Risen Rubrici is 30 points that allows you to infiltrate up to 2 Rubric Marine units. So you can infiltrate your units of 5 flamers, or 1 Rubric non-battle line unit. So it's 2 battle line or 1 non-battle line.
You're basically your Marines or your Terminators.
Yeah. So you can infiltrate 2 units of Marines with flamers, which is quite nice. Put them near an objective where they can get to. They can come out and shoot them. There's a stratagem for advance and shoot, or essentially gain assault and ignore move modifiers. So then you can advance, shoot flamers onto an objective at home, absolutely obliterate a home holding unit. You know, like everyone has like 1 unit that sits at the home objective. You can infiltrate and get there quite easily. It's just nice to have a couple extra units to just like bang cover. They're good at Overwatch and etc.
Like the flexibility that in each game you can walk up to, you can go actually, on this one, it'd be more beneficial to infiltrate those flamer units. On this one, I want to do the Terminator unit. You know what I mean? You've got that ability to swap and change depending on what army you're coming against or how somebody's deployed and stuff like that, you know? So
yeah, exactly. Speaking of, obviously, I've got some Scarab Cults because they're 2 up, 4 up, and they're going to be getting +1 saves. So they're going to be a 1 up save essentially against a lot of things. Yeah, I'm taking a big unit of 10 with the Sorcerer in Terminator armor because that's the only guy who can actually attach to Scarabs, which is a bit weird. When they target a unit, everyone else that shoots into that unit gets +1 to hit, which is obviously really nice. So you can split fire and then choose one of them, bang a bolt over there. Is it a bolt? Is it the psychic weapon that has to shoot?
It is the psychic weapon.
Yeah, so if you shoot them with a psychic weapon, so you can use the Scarab Occult psychic weapon, Malefic Curse, or his own psychic weapon and shoot over there. So you got a 24-inch giving out +1 to hit, essentially. You can also turn the entire unit into psychic weapons. So you can go, here's a bolter, you're +1 to hit for the entire army over there, which is nice. They have Rites of Coalescence, which is essentially, whilst it contains 1 or more psychic unit, they are -1 to wound. So essentially, they're like they don't have the feel no pain of the Wardens, but otherwise they're Wardens on foot. You know what I mean?
-1 to wound, 1 up save,
3 wounds, 4 wounds on the Psycho.
Yeah.
They've got the missile racks, which are obviously strength 10 mana 2, do 3 shots. You have 2 of them. You got 2 Soul Reaper cannons. You got all the bolters. You got Malefic Curse. And
Did you mention lethal wounds as well? Sorcerer giving them lethal hits. Sorry, not lethal.
I haven't. No. So that's what his other ability, Empiric Guidance. He gives the unit lethal hits, which is nice.
Boom, straight through.
Yeah. And then for 15 points, you give him Lord of Rubric, which gives the unit +1 to hit. So they're BS2 essentially, or hitting on 2s.
Incredible.
So that's just like 2 bricks of just anti-infantry Dakar that just deletes everything. And then you got Magnus being annoying. Yep. It's like, once you've lost all your infantry, you're going to have some stuff left, don't get me wrong. But the infantry do not survive in front of it.
Yeah.
So, well, that's what you'd expect anyway.
In my head, you sort of have like turn 2, you have your Rubric your Rubric Marines get out, and they're your turn 2 unit in the middle.
Yeah.
And if they die, then turn 3 is your Terminator go unit, right? And they then take the place. You know what I mean? You sort of have that
you
initial...
can also infiltrate them. Huh? You can infiltrate the 10 Terminators with the Sorcerer and put them in the building and hope you go first, or even if you don't, be somewhere safe and then pop out, blow everything up, and then just go in with your nearly 30 strength 5 minus 2 damage attacks in combat, which is not great, but it's kind of good if it's early.
Yeah, and also survivable. People are going to bounce off them, right? Yeah. Even if you get a couple of shots in, or you get one little charge, you're not going to delete them. So you've got good. Have you got any more Rubric or is that your Rubric done and dusted?
I'm all Rubric out.
Did you see the done and dusted thing there?
I got it, yeah, very good.
Thank you.
I've got 2 units of Enlightened with bows, because obviously they're pretty good. They're 50 points, they move 10. In my head, they're doing actions for me and then shooting if they need to. They're great for containment. They're great for area denial, for example, because sometimes I don't want to put like a 100-point unit in the middle. I want to put a 50-point unit in the middle. And then they've got precision, which we already spoke about already. I'm not super excited about the last 400 points on my list.
Oh, well, just end it there then, mate. All right, it's been lovely to see you. Let's catch up soon.
Maybe another 10 Scarabs would be funny.
Another 375?
Yeah, because it's a similar amount of points. I'm not sure. But I knew if I wrote a list that I like, people wouldn't like it at home.
Right, okay.
Because I like to run heavy infantry lists. I don't even think about vehicles. I put a couple of rhinos in, that's about it. Look at every battle report we've done on the channel, it's all this infantry. So I banged in 2 Predator Destructors, which is the autocannon version.
Yeah.
So they have a similar ability than the Annihilators. Obviously, Tom's taking the last cannons. This is the Predator autocannon, 4 shots, rapid fire 2, strength 9, -1, 3 damage. Each of this model makes an attack that attacks a unit that is not a monster or vehicle and was hit by a psychic attack by a Thousand Sons psychic unit, or Thousand Sons model, should I say? Thousand Sons model. So that means if I use the strat, it would have to be the psychers that are doing the attacks, not the rest of the unit. Including Doombolt, you improve the strength and AP by 1. So if you go to strength 10 -2, 3 damage, which is pretty good at taking heavy infantry down. Now, it doesn't work against the tanks, obviously, but it's pretty nice at just like, again, you've got all the bolters to take down the little infantry. You've got some really good like anti-Terminator shooting.
Yeah, your list is coming across as a really good elite killer, right?
Yeah.
Terminators, things are 2-3 wounds, or whatever it is.
Terminators, Custodes, hordes.
Yeah.
Off it goes. They just absolutely AP2 just across the board. And then sometimes AP3 or AP4 ignore cover.
Yeah.
And so they're obviously good at taking las cannons. That's kind of like your anti-tank. I'm relying on the amount of DACA to do damage. And then finally, to round up the list, to make it bang on 2,000 points, got a Maulafine.
Oh, he's joined the Maulafine club. Of course he has.
They're so cheap, aren't they?
They are. 130 points.
Yeah, they're just insanely cheap, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
So that can be like a little bit of a distraction. If you're infiltrating 10 Terminators, you're now also throwing a Maulafine up there.
Yeah.
So you can like go in and be a bit annoying, be a bit of a thing for like to allow Magnus to kind of come out, show his face a little bit, because there's a Maulafine in front of you. You need to deal with that before he charges you. So,
yeah, he's a really good like mid-board blocker. You know what I mean? Like if you want to slow something down so you can get your rest of your army set, you just YOLO. It's decent, right?
It's decent. Yeah, it's decent. So that's the list. That's the Rubrici phalanx. As I said, I've got Risen Rubrici, 30 points for infiltrate. I've got the Lord of Rubrici for +1 to hit, which is only 15 points, which I thought was really cheap for any unit that's leading. The other enhancements, you got 5-point Arcane Thralls, reroll battle shocks within 9. Let's go.
Every time, baby.
I always put it in my list just to be like,
just for the novelty of a 5-point.
I got the battle shock reroll.
Yeah.
The other one is called Stave Abominus, which is actually really good, but it's 20 points. I couldn't fit it. Thousand Sons infantry model only, which made me sad because the Demon Princes in this book are pretty poo. And I was like, this could be good.
I looked at the Demon Princes and instantly just ignored them. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The Bear's melee weapons have sustained D3 and dev wounds, which is pretty nuts really for 20 points.
It's basically like a YOLO, a smash Thousand Sons thing.
Yeah, because they have the Sorcerer, which is essentially... Smash Sorcerer, yeah.
Copyright Hellstormwargaming Smash Sorcerer.
It's essentially a Chaos Lord, really.
Yeah.
Because it has like, on one turn, it gets +3 attacks and AP or whatever. And it gives lethal. So they're not bad.
Let's go through stratagems. Go for it, yeah, sorry.
So in this one, there's Rubric can fall back and shoot and charge. So you can't tag the Flamers, you can't tag the 10 Terminators for 1 CP, which is mint. You got Inexorable Advance, as I've already mentioned. Ignore move and
Sorry, what book are we going through here?
Inexorable Advance.
No, but what book is this?
It's not Death Guard.
Oh, right, okay, cool, just checking, okay.
So that's obviously going to be Ignore move modifiers and Advance modifiers, and you have Assault. Advance and shoot Flamers.
Yep.
You can like Twist of Fate and Advance and get like a super long movement, which is nice. So you can just like guarantee engage on all fronts, etc., and then still shoot, which is cool. You got Infernal Fusillade, which is the psychics plus strength 5 and become psychic, which is obviously, as I've said, with all these abilities that you can stack. It's pretty nice. You got Revenge of the Rubrici.
That sounds like a really bad Star Wars spin-off.
Yeah. Shooting phase, just after a Thousand Sons Psyker model is destroyed, one Rubrici unit within 6 of that Psyker, you can shoot at that target with this Rubrici unit.
Flamers, nearby another squad of 5 Flamers. Oh, that 5 Flamer squad die. Flamers go in because guess what? The Aspiring Sorcerer is a Psyker.
So what you could do, it's only 1 CP this as well. You've got that big horrible unit of Terminators, okay? And then what you do is you kind of use it and then they're like, God, I need to kill those Terminators. And you go, okay, I'm going to kill the Aspiring Sorcerer of the unit. Not the actual Sorcerer, the Aspiring Sorcerer, because that is a Thousand Sons Psyker model, because it specifically says in the keywords, this model is a Psyker. Now for 1 CP, the other 9 Terminators all shoot at that unit. With the Soul Reapers, with the Hellfire missiles, and all their psychic weapons. Yeah. You lose out on 1 psychic shot and a Storm Bolter. But for 1 CP, I might be a bit like, okay, I'll take it.
Could you imagine if a knight did that or something like that? You're just like, guys, I'm just going to shoot back at you, bro. Okay, I've killed the 4 wound Psyker first.
Yeah, or you could be another unit if they like rip up like one of your early Flamer Rubrici units. So that's fun. You got Implacable Guardians, as I said, 1 Rubric Marines Psyker unit. Rubric Marines. What? I mean, you can't use it on the Terminators.
Hey, what's this one?
This one damage.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh no!
You got Implacable Guardians, which I've just realized is exclusively Rubric Marines, but you can give them -1 damage, which is still pretty good.
Yeah.
It's annoying you can't use it on Terminators.
sad. Everyone just be sad for Mikey.
That makes me a little bit sad.
Just, the combination that he's been working towards this entire time isn't quite there.
So I'm definitely killing the Psycho to make them shoot at them. Yeah, right. And then the final one is also Rubric Marines. Just after enemy unit makes a charge move, it's a one unit. Rubric Marines is -1 to wound until the end of the turn. Cool.
So that brick of 10 gets charged by something and you want them to survive.
Yeah.
You therefore got -1 wound, please.
Yeah, it's good. Knowing that strat now, I'm starting to think maybe another 10 scarabs isn't the idea. Maybe
another 10 rubrics?
20 rubrics. Another 20, because that fits with maybe a character. So that's my list. I'm still excited about it. It's all his dust. It's kind of funny.
You had to choose that one, let's be honest. Yeah.
The strats are all really good. The enhancements are mostly really good. Even the 5.1 is only 5 points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The weapon's really good. The detachment's really good. I think the problem with my list is I don't have much anti-tank.
No.
So whilst yours is like tanks fall over in front of me in a pit of hellfire glory, I kind of go, right, you've got nothing to score with, but you are going to keep killing me, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah. I think if our list were to go head to head, it would be such a weird swinging match, wouldn't it? You know what I mean?
You wouldn't be able to kill me, but I'd just be bonking and nothing would happen.
And you would just be hiding and scoring points effectively, right? So I think your list has the tools to play the mission well. And the only thing I would say is, you know where the damage is coming from, right? It's your big squad of 10 Rubric Marines, it's your Scarab Occults and the survivability, which is deceivingly survivable.
And you've got Magnus, don't forget.
Yeah.
Like 400 points of Magnus, and as I mentioned, he feels pretty good.
Yeah.
He's not going to kill an Imperial Knight in a turn, but he's going to be able to just kill everything around it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a buff stick as well, isn't it? You know what I mean? He hands out. He also, like, if he went in and gave himself the -1 damage, he's really hard to kill. 2 + 4 + -1 damage. Jesus.
How many? And then everything else is like 2+ usually.
Yeah. If you were to be a betting man, what do you think will end up being the rising meta? Do you think rubrics are going to be the one?
I think, as always, the scintillating legions, which is the Thousand Sons with demon detachment, looks interesting. Giving 4+ invuln and then 2 Thousand Sons units, and then in return giving Cabal of Sorcerers to demon units, which sounds quite interesting. I don't know if I don't have the brain for it. I just don't see it, you know. And then the generic detachment, the Coven, looks really good, because the detachment ability is really good, like once per turn, once per game, you can give your entire army +6-inch range on your Cabals. You've got a stratagem to give out the detachment ability again to a single unit. It's essentially functionally very similar to like Gladius in that regard. That one might be better, but I like the survivability because everything feels expensive. It made me, when list writing, feel like I wanted to be more defensive.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It kind of forced me into being like, how do I make these units really survivable and killing, rather than just all-out damage, which I believe the Coven feels more all-out damage. I'm even a little bit excited, but I'm also, it's because I'm sat on so many Zankov for my AOS army that I've not built.
Buy Zankos on discs. Yeah, that's what you need to do.
Using my link in the description. This channel is powered by the Outpost, which is what we're filming right now. It's where our little home is. You can grab some discount Warhammer using my link in the description. You get 20% off pre-orders. I get a little kickback at no extra cost to you. And you get all the new models on release day. Grab yourself the new box set with the ugly robots that Tom seems to be in love with, and I hate with a passion.
Only buy them if you're using this detachment. Trust me, they're rubbish everywhere else.
And obviously, if you're going to be painting any of those, grab yourself some colourful sprays, which are also supporting the channel. Link down in the description. But like always, you can buy those from Outpost as well. Get yourself some Midwinter Ice, maybe. You get some Rogue Pink, Louise's Pink. Spray it top down with Midwinter Ice. You got some Synthwave Thousand Sons on the go.
Baby.
Bit of blue wash, couple of bit of trim.
Bit of gold job done. When I say bit of gold, a lot of gold. Can we have a poll to see whose list you like the most? I mean, can we do that?
Who wins the metaphorical game?
What we'll do is we'll put 2 comments, and then like whichever one you think is the better list,
Yeah, we'll leave it in the comments. Yeah. So that could be fun. And let us know if we could improve this format at all. I feel like we might have improved it a lot more since last time. And hopefully we'll do another one very, very soon.
And maybe a game soon as well.
Oh, if you're watching this now on release day, I'll be playing a game in a little bit, hopefully, with Elliot. We're going to be playing Custodes versus Thousand Sons with neither of these lists because I don't own the models. So that's it. So thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you. If you haven't already, consider becoming a member. They're scrolling over my face right now.
Oh.
Look at them.
Stop
they're
hitting
so
me in the
juicy.
face. Literally
So
coming.
juicy. So juicy. Become a member if you haven't already. Like the video if you liked it. If you didn't, okay, cool. See you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.